need to bring the message to individual families that if they need help, they should get help.
Usually the first thing you hear from people is, I never thought I'd be one of those people. And find out those people were them just a year ago and lost their job earlier.
Just this week, one of our 5th grade students is losing his home.
What do you do if your time runs out here and you don't have a job?
I don't know. I don't know.
Hello everyone, I'm Joanne Ferrian. Thanks for joining us for this Envision special, San Diego in Recession. The unemployment rate is nearly 9% in this county. That's almost double over last year. People are losing their jobs and their homes. Many can no longer afford rent that is nearly triple the national average. It makes a toxic combination, one that is making more San Diegans homeless, hungry, and desperate. Tonight, we'll look at how the recession has taken its toll on the working poor in San Diego County and those who never expected to be poor. First, meet a man who never thought his life would turn out this way, living in a tattered RV on the streets of San Diego.
Moonlight sleeping on a midnight lake. Homeless, homeless.
Hey, Thomas.
Hi.
Hi. So can we come in?
Yeah. This is where I sleep and snap it. You gonna be cool? That's the beer that we scavenged this morning.
Yeah, it was sitting in that cooler all last
We didn't want to take it, but it's been there over, they just left it, they don't care.
Thomas Smirnoff lives in this RV.
That's a comfortable mattress.
He's lived in it for the past 3 years. He has no electricity, no refrigeration, other than the bags of ice he is constantly buying.
Do you have running water?
No, you use the jugs. Oh, you might want to see that. The jug method.
He has his own bathroom, but uses the jug method to flush.
See, I don't like going in the public bathrooms, because they're nasty. I want my own bathroom. I don't want to, be like that.
Thomas's twin brother Robert has been staying with him lately. He lost his apartment months ago.
See, he has to go to the Y to take a shower because of his long hair to get the soap out of it. The jug method just takes too much water.
The two of them survive on food stamps, odd jobs, borrowed money from another brother, and what they collect from trash cans.
We scavenged this organic full bottle of this amazing, sometimes close to up in the hundreds of dollars worth of stuff they throw out.
So you scavenge that bottle of full sauce, like in the garbage can?
Soy sauce well, see, that's the thing. We don't dig down and get nasty where there's bacteria or sign muck or whatever. Just right at the top, nice and clean.
They move this RV every 3 days to comply with city bylaws. They have no hookup, no trash disposal, no way to clean the inside of this RV. They quite simply spend their days surviving. They are 2 of San Diego County's 8,400 homeless people, a number that has grown by nearly 10% since last year. Although, don't focus too much on that number. We'll get into that later. But you should know Thomas is considered among the chronically homeless. About 20% of all homeless people in this county are in that category. He might be considered the so-called poster boy of homelessness. He fits the statistical description so well. He is a white male in his 40s with a history of drug use, and he drinks. But here's the thing. Lately, the face of homelessness has been changing.
Somebody cry, why? Somebody's here.
Half of all homeless people in the United States are families. And the second most common face of homelessness, second to Thomas, children.
Where would you like to go, Snappy?
Thomas allowed our camera crew to follow him for a day to see how he survives in San Diego without a place to live, a job, health care, or money to buy food.
Wait, Snappy, wait, wait.
Throughout our show tonight, we'll check in with Thomas and his brother Robert and their dog Snappy.
Okay, let's get rhythm, Go, rhythm.
But first, we want you to meet some other families, people who have lost their jobs, who don't have enough food for their children, who are months away from being homeless or already homeless.
People are really stunned. They never thought that this would happen to them. And
These people have crowded into this warehouse on a weekday morning because they're unemployed, short on food, or need a place to live.
We just need some food. I'm self-employed and business is not going very well in the architectural field.
In some San Diego neighborhoods, like La Mesa, demand for food from the food bank has doubled in the past year. In Carlsbad, it's up 1,000%.
La lechuga, ¿tienes lechuga? ¿Nuevo? ¿Nuevo?
If the American dream means working hard to make a better life for your kids than the one you had, Valenta Calva was living it. The 29-year-old Mexican immigrant moved to San Diego County as a teenager and worked on a ranch with his young wife. Back then, he had nothing.
I don't have car, I don't have job, no money, nothing.
But Calva worked his way up as a manager in a local vitamin factory and got his green card. He felt like he had everything. And then he lost his job 2 months ago.
And it's really hard because right now I don't have work, and it's really hard because, money moves the world, That's what I say. If you don't have money, you cannot go further.
This is a difficult conversation for Calva, hard-working and proud, to have with a reporter.
Do you see your family going to the food bank for food?
No. Mm-mm. No. So, but right now...
So you're not the kind of guy who looks like he wants to ask for that kind of help?
No.
He hasn't applied for unemployment because he doesn't want to ask the government for help. He thought he'd just get another job. But he has just $2,000 left in savings and bills to pay.
So I need to pay the rent and the car too, the bills. And it's a lot of money that I can have to spend,
Calva doesn't have a backup plan. If he can't pay his rent, his family will have nowhere to live. The unemployment rate in California is 10.5%, the highest it's been in 26 years. In San Diego County, it's 8.8%, nearly double in the past year. Even low-paying service jobs are getting harder to come by. This McDonald's on El Cajon Boulevard reports getting 25 applications a week, twice the number they got a year ago. And a Home Depot in Santee is getting at least 50 applications a week, more applicants than usual for fewer positions than usual. There are nearly 2 million Californians without work. The federal stimulus plan has thrown a lifeline to people collecting unemployment benefits, extending them from 59 weeks to 79 weeks.
Has to be cut away with a utility knife.
Thomas Smirnoff and his brother Robert spend much of their day sitting in the RV, curtains drawn, hoping to go unnoticed by police and people walking by. They roll cigarettes, watch the dog.
Chewy, you can chew it.
They listen to the radio when they can get reception and figure out what supplies they need for the day.
We gotta save some of it to, because of the bacon and stuff like that, to conserve on napkins. As people gotta know, I mean, if you can't afford to go hook up to electricity and vacuum your floor, that's just sad.
They drive only when they have to. This RV is old and things are breaking down.
Okay, well, something's wrong with the generator. It's even worse. The generator may have to be taken out and just thrown away.
Sometimes they have jobs.
When I try to get work, I try to make the application look like I'm not really homeless, and I try to, make sure I'm nice and clean and have good clothes.
Thomas sometimes works for research firms who gather signatures for petitions. He can make between 50 cents and $1 a signature, but even that work is disappearing. Thomas knows his appearance is costing him jobs. His one good set of clothes rotted away. He made rags out of them. It's hard to take a shower using jugs of cold water. He's aware people think he's dirty, like the time he had a job interview a few months back.
See, they wouldn't let me use the bathroom that day. We don't have a public bathroom, sir. And I know all the people downtown who are not homeless are aggravated up to the neck with the homeless.
On the day I spent with the Smirnoff brothers, they had less than $150 between the two of them, money borrowed from another brother in Georgia. Thomas receives food stamps. He could apply for welfare, known as general relief. That's a county program for indigent people. It would provide him with about $270 a month.
I should have looked into that, though.
Public assistance in San Diego County is often considered to be a program of last resort. KPBS examined social services statistics provided by the state government. Here's some of what we found. In San Diego County, with a population of 3,760,000 people received general relief benefits in January 2009, a program paid for by the county. That's compared to more than 75,000 in Los Angeles County or 8,600 in Sacramento. In fact, LA County spends 30 times more per capita on this social service program than San Diego County. No one from the county's Health and Human Services Department would speak to us about these statistics, but they did respond to our questions in writing. They told us the state mandates this program exists, but it doesn't pay for it. The county also stated that because each county determines how to operate their own general relief program, it's not fair to compare case numbers. CalWorks is the largest welfare program in the state, funded by the federal, state, and county governments. It's available to families with children. Across the county, in nearly every zip code, demand for this program has increased since last year. The greatest need is in East County, in neighborhoods like Encanto. A year ago, 36-year-old Nicole Edzema had no place to live after leaving an abusive relationship. After spending a few weeks in a shelter, Edzema was able to come here, to this apartment complex run by St. Vincent de Paul Village. Edzema's only job experience had been as a sales clerk. She's now training to be a substance abuse counselor.
It seems that me with my qualifications, I'm fighting everybody else who has a lot of qualifications. I was at the EDD office and the guy next to me said he was trying to downsize his resume and I was saying I was trying to upsize mine. They're just not out there right now.
Edzema has been living in this housing complex for 1 year. She's allowed to spend 2 years max, and then she's out on her own. Just her and her 4-year-old son.
What do you do if your time runs out here and you don't have a job?
I don't know. I don't know.
Our demand is up. We used to say a year ago, an average day is 2,200 people a day come to us for help. The latest stats are it's 3,400 people a day are coming.
Father Joe Carroll oversees a conglomerate of homeless services, from housing to food to job training.
Usually the first thing you hear from people is, I never thought I'd be one of those people. And find out those people were them just a year ago and lost their job earlier. That people who become homeless are normal people who go through a traumatic experience of losing job, injury, battered situation, something went wrong in their life, and they end up losing everything and they end up homeless. And usually they take almost too long to come into a shelter.
When I wake up in the morning to face another day, hunger's hanging over my head. There's a weakness in my stomach, Lord, it's always been that way. Hunger's hanging over my head.
Here at this particular meal, we're seeing more hungry people.
Who's gonna feed the hungry? Who's gonna feed the poor? Who's gonna stand and help me fight that lean wolf that's howling at my door?
We're also aware that there are many people who never expected to be faced with homelessness, and families are of great concern to us. They tend to, if things really get dire, live in their cars and don't know where to turn. They're really in a state of shock.
This is Field Elementary School, located in the working-class neighborhood of Claremont. These kids could go home. Today, school ended early, but all of these students stayed so they could eat lunch.
They're hungry. This is a good meal. It's good, it's here, and before they leave to go home, parents come a little bit later to allow the children time to eat.
Last year, 53% of the students at this school were eligible for the free and reduced lunch program. Today, it's grown to nearly 79%.
It's staggering. And that's only the families that have come forward. And I think the reason we've seen such an influx is because families are coming forward. They're pushing aside the stigma, they're pushing aside the fear, because they're put against the wall saying that if my children don't eat breakfast and lunch 5 days a week, I might not be able to afford to send them to school with food. I might not be able to afford to serve them dinner. So we don't know what they're eating at night. We don't know what they're having on the weekends.
In the San Diego Unified School District, the second largest district in the state, nearly 60% of all families are eligible for the free and reduced lunch program. That means they are hovering above the federal poverty level. For a free lunch, a family of 4 can't earn more than $27,560 a year. And there's another problem. Some of these kids are becoming homeless.
Just this week, one of our 5th grade students is losing his home, and so he's nervous.
And that's a whole other thing, being homeless. Who would ever think we're in San Diego and we have so many homeless families? We have over 900 children that we know of in our district right now that we know of that are homeless. 900. It's a pretty big number.
How can you tell a homeless person on the street, Thomas, when you drive?
Well, let's face it, it's hard to take showers, warm showers anyway, so their faces are dirty. You just develop an intuition to where you can tell for years and years of being around them whether I was homeless or not. And they probably will have their suitcases or their backpacks or whatever will be dirty and tattered and clothing tattered, and a lot of times you can tell by the hair. You just tell it's grease. It's not just gel, it's grease.
Thomas, is this how you thought your life would turn out?
No. I just thought I'd be a normal person.
There you go.
At this school in Vista, kids are being given snacks for the weekend. It's part of a San Diego food bank program to help struggling families feed their kids over the weekend.
Every morning we have a few kids who are just really in a hurry to get to the breakfast line. And so Monday especially is a time when kids are getting in trouble for racing to get ahead of others to have breakfast. So yes, there are kids who don't have enough to eat and go to bed hungry. And I am going to run out ahead of time today because I added newcomers. And
on this day, there weren't enough bags of food for all the kids in need. 30 kids are enrolled in the program. The school nurse says she could easily enroll another 100 if they had the funding.
There are more people who were previously in the lower middle class who need pantries and kitchens.
Joel Berg worked for the Clinton administration back in the 90s. His portfolio included helping nonprofit groups fight hunger.
If you were truly well off before this downturn, By and large, you had assets to fall back on. You had bank accounts, you had property to sell. Maybe a few years down the line, if we don't get out of this, you'll start seeing more of those folks. But the people we're really seeing at pantries and kitchens were the receptionists, were the night watchmen, were the drivers at places like Wall Street firms and other big firms that are having these problems.
No family in California should go hungry.
But they are. 70% of people eligible for food stamps in this county don't get them. The County Board of Supervisors is trying to increase food stamp enrollment. They've been under pressure from advocacy groups for months. President Obama, whose family lived on food stamps when he was a child, has pledged more money for the program in the stimulus package, more than $800 million to California.
On an everyday practical level, we need to bring the message to individual families that if they need help, they should get help. Their tax dollars have paid for it. Donald Trump isn't shy about getting government help. A billionaire who owns a ball team isn't shy about getting government help to build them a spanking new stadium just so they can have more expensive executive skyboxes and jack up prices on the working people. So if everyone else is getting help, if your tax dollars paid for out of your long life of working have already paid for food stamps benefits, now called SNAP benefits, you should go get them.
Walk a mile in my shoes.
Thomas Smirnoff doesn't usually busk. He's performing this song, a song he wrote for us. It's about being homeless, about bitterness, anger, and shame, and a painful awareness of how the public views him as dirty, as someone to be pitied. Spend a day not in Thomas's shoes, but with Thomas, and you see him for what he is, just a middle-aged guy who never thought he'd end up homeless. He started out a rebellious teenager who thought he'd find fame and fortune in music. He was kicked out of the house for smoking pot. Fast forward 30 years, the longest stretch he's lived in a house is 7 years, but that came to an end when his landlord sold the property. There is still a glimmer of hope when Thomas imagines he might have a shot at a music career.
Darn it, I need to make a CD to have with me if I'm like wherever I go to busk, and that way they'll have my contact information, and if somebody might get turned on to it and want to, do the indie label thing, or whatever.
But he thinks about what it would take to make a CD. How would he rehearse?
See, I do a lot of electric stuff too, and I'm not privileged to have any electricity.
And he soon talks himself out of his plan.
It's almost starting to get hopeless.
Once you reach a certain point, if the things don't turn around, what happens?
You reach a point in defense of accepting it as a way of life. You start making good excuses, just like we all do when we fail. We all make excuses. If I really feel I'm stuck in homelessness, then I'll start saying, I need the freedom. I need to have choice in my life. Everything's against me.
Experts say once someone is homeless for 6 months, they're at risk of being chronically homeless. And once they feel hopeless, they're almost certain to stay on the streets. There remains a shortage of emergency and transitional housing. San Diego has enough transitional housing for 36% of its homeless. The national average is 56%. And the waiting list for affordable housing? 5 to 7 years. But hope again comes in the form of the stimulus package, $10 million to the county to help people on the verge of losing their homes or being evicted from their apartments. Remember that number, 8,400 homeless? That's the number of people counted in one night in San Diego County living on the street or in shelters. Experts say double it, you might get closer to the real number. Homeless families hide. They sleep in their cars, afraid their kids will be taken away by social services. They live in motels week to week, or they're crowding in with friends and families. The new face of homelessness? That's the thing. We don't have that stereotype yet because it's changing so radically these days. It all seemed to happen so fast. like a strong wind that blew through the country and changed how middle class looks, who poor looks like, who homeless looks like. Thomas never imagined he'd be the face of homelessness.
It's okay. Sleepy. I'm gonna have to wake up in the middle of the night, probably put on more, close this window and... Well, good night. Home sweet home. Good night.
Thomas Smirnoff's story has a bittersweet ending. He is expecting to receive money from his late mother's estate any day now. It won't make him rich, but he says it should be enough to rent him space at a trailer park. For more information about resources available during this difficult economic time, go to our website, kpbs.org/envision. Thanks for watching.